All right, we are back on the Andre Duke Show with Carter Smith. Carter and Richie are both out today, but it is one of those deals that we've got going. Just one of those things. We're just going to hang it out today. And then the big news is the NFL Hall of Fame game today. That is something that I know a lot of people are looking forward to. That is something I have been looking forward to ever since we've got the first game of the year. Richie is going to be at the Hall of Fame game tonight. Carter is in the process of moving, so that's just what it is. But I figured we would get this thing rolling, moving and grooving today. That's what we got rolling. The new show goal is to get it to 25 likes today. That is the goal. A little technical difficulties there, but the new show goal is get 25 likes on this episode. If we could do that, that would be fantastic. The new thing is that we're just trying to get everything. I'm trying to get everything situated. Trying to get it worked out for the Hall of Fame game to see if I can get this thing rolling. But is everybody excited for the Hall of Fame game tonight? That is my main question for everybody. What we got going, and then just the sheer excitement of the Hall of Fame game. I believe that kicks here pretty soon. Let me get a time for that. Trying to get the time. It is 8 o'clock, so 30 minutes. Hall of Fame game kicks off, and thanks, Doreen. I appreciate it. I'm trying to sneak a quick episode in before the Hall of Fame game tonight, but appreciate Doreen for popping in and showing some love. But yeah, we got the Chargers-Lions tonight. That is something that we got kicking. Very, very interesting matchup. Dan Campbell versus Jim Harbaugh. The unstoppable force versus the immovable object. It is going to be a very interesting endeavor. I know that. So got that kicking and rolling. Just the show goal for tonight is, if everybody could do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button, and we can get this thing rolling down the tracks. The goal for this episode is 25 likes. If we can get to 25 likes, that would be much appreciated. So with that being said, we'll get to the first topic tonight. Coaches on the hot seat. I see this again with I don't know why Billy Napier is number one on this list. I think Florida's schedule has been kind of unsavory the last couple of years. I think if they get to 10 wins, they're a playoff team. I don't see how they're not a playoff team if they get to 10 wins and they're not one of the top teams in the nation. So I think that even if Billy Napier went 6-6, I think the big thing that he's got to do is he's got to get that big signature win against Georgia. I think if he got a win against Georgia, I think he's going to go into Death Valley with the Gators and beat LSU. I think Florida's going to be better than what people think, better than what people want to admit. That's just kind of my thoughts on it. But going down the list here, Brett Venables at OU. That's an interesting case study because they completely revamped the offense and they brought the Minter kid from Washington State and his offensive coordinator from Washington State, which the last quarterback that came from Washington State was Cam Ward, and it seemed to work out pretty well for him. So I think that Brett Venables has a lot to prove. I don't know what Billy Napier, what else he has to prove, because he beat LSU last year at home and he beat Ole Miss. So I'm at a loss, and I believe Florida was 8-4. I don't think them winning the bowl game is that imperative, in my opinion, but that's just something to look for. But Brett Venables, lot to prove. And as we go down the track here, we go to Hugh Freeze. A lot's been said about Hugh Freeze's golf game. A lot's been said about a lot of things about Hugh Freeze. I don't think that this marriage is long in the Auburn Hugh Freeze if it's not a good year. And what I mean, excuse me, by good year, I'm looking at Hugh Freeze as far as the guy that, can he get over the hump is my question. Is Hugh Freeze the guy to get over the hump? Especially being with Auburn in their year 3. They want to win. They're tired of not being competitive, which I understand that. They have a lot of, I wouldn't say recruiting issues, but some people disagree. I think if Hugh Freeze isn't 9-3 or 10-2 with a big win over Georgia or Alabama, Hugh Freeze is probably not long for the job in the plains out there in Auburn. So that is one element to it. Sam Pittman in Arkansas. I would not be shocked if Sam Pittman does not retire. But if he wins 7 games, he gets an automatic 1-year contract extension. So that's also something to look at. Sam Pittman and the Hogs down there, Fayetteville. I don't know if their expectations are through the roof, but I mean, I think he's kind of turned the program around to a certain extent. He hasn't taken it to new heights to what it was under Petrino. I think that where Arkansas is at, gotta wake up here, but where Arkansas is at, I think they're ahead of where they were. I wouldn't say Sam Pittman's done the greatest job in the world, but it's been one of those jobs that is been respected. That is what I would put out there. It's been respected. I think they're either going to hire Bobby Petrino or they're going to go completely outside of the box. I wouldn't be shocked if Petrino is the head coach or if they went down the Gus Malzahn route. Just kind of my opinion when it comes to the Hogs. Arizona, Brett Brennan. I think that Jed Fish completely gutted your program and you're 18 months behind from when you started. I think that is a big possibility. And I'm not saying that as far as like a knock on Jed Fish at Washington, but he took the guys that wanted to that wanted to be there or that wanted to play, for Jed Fish. So I think at a certain degree here, you've got something to look at as a totality. Really, is Arizona being in the Big 12 a attractive job? You look at the success that Arizona State is having. I am sure that is not something that they want to have repeated. I would say that it's one of those things that they've got. They've got to get it figured out there at the University of Arizona, because they can't be having Kenny Dillingham running amok throughout the whole state and taking every top player. It's like, well, why would I go to Arizona when I can go to state? That is something, and I think Dillingham's going to get the investment, but Arizona's got to make a decision if they want to be a football or basketball school, I think, coming up here soon. Virginia Tech and Brent Pry, I think that Virginia Tech, Beamer had it going on there. And I think that it's one of those things that it's really hard to win at a place like that. I'm not saying the program is bad, but I just feel like it's really hard to win in Blacksburg because it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. And your talent-rich states like Florida, Texas, California, it's hard to convince. In my opinion, it's hard to convince a kid to, when you're recruiting against USC, Columbus, Ohio State, Florida, even Miami, some of the schools that are even there. But I mean, you could even take it a step further and go into their conference. You want to go to Dallas, Fort Worth as SMU. You want to go to Miami, Georgia Tech, and Atlanta. There's a lot of distinct possibilities. But at the end of the day, I'm really not going to give him that much of a pass because you're seeing Fran Brown at the University of Syracuse in upstate New York, kind of in the middle of nowhere as well, doing the same thing. So, got to get it together and got to get it locked in down there in Blacksburg. Here comes one that I think is really tough to judge. Mike Locksley at Maryland, and this is Ari Wasserman's list. Mike Locksley is, how do I want to put this? I don't think he's been dealt the best hand there at Maryland, but also the investment needs to be there within the program. I think Maryland has severe NIL issues. Some people would argue and say they didn't. Well, on the basketball side of things, their coach got the players paid, not the collective. So I would think that Maryland would have done better, especially being the guy that owns Under Armour is like an alumni there. I would have thought that they would have done better. But also, I think that at a certain degree, you've got to be realistic and have donor fatigue, I think, also sets in. But Locksley at Maryland, let's pull up Maryland's schedule and see if I can get there. See what they're looking at, possibly. All right. Mike Locksley and the Terps, they open up with Florida Atlantic, Northern Illinois, Towson. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that those are 3 wins, honestly. They should be 3 wins. Wisconsin, in his next 3-game stretch, he goes Wisconsin, Washington, Nebraska. I think if you can go 1-2, or 1-2 is kind of realistic there. They should be able to beat Wisconsin, although the Badgers and Luke Fickell are trying to get it worked out. That is something to be said there. And then the next 3 games, you go UCLA, Indiana, Rutgers. If you would go 2-1 there, that's not a bad stretch, but it's kind of rough at the end of the year on Loxley, to be honest. That is something to be said there. It's Illinois, Michigan, Michigan State. That is the last 3 there. That is something to be said. That is what it is. But everyone, hold on 1 second. I will be right back. All right. Sorry about that. I had to see who was at my front door. But, yeah, that's where Loxley's kind of at. I find it very, very rough that you have Illinois, Michigan State at the end of the year. That's just something to be said. I don't think that those, by any stretch of the imagination, are easy or anything like that. So that's just something they got. He's got to get it figured out. I know the Josh Gaddis hire did not work out very well for Maryland. That's also something to be said. That's a whole nother diatribe. But also, we've got Scott Satterfield on this list. In Cincinnati, that is a interesting, I think, ordeal with the Bearcats. They are newly in the Big 12. I don't know what the program expectation is. It's taken a kind of a drastic fall off since Luke Fickell left. I do believe that is something to be said. With Luke not necessarily being in charge of the program. Cincinnati, I don't know. I mean, they can throw him on this list, but realistically, is Cincinnati, when are they going to compete in the Big 12? Because they're not better than BYU. Well, I don't know. BYU losing their Q is going to be a very, very interesting on how that whole situation shakes out. But I feel like that, Satterfield, it just depends on the expectation, and we will see if they are going to turn the corner, take the next step, whatever you want to insert there is pretty much what it is. But I just have a huge issue with Billy Napier being number 1. I think from anything last year, unless they completely crater this year, I highly doubt that Napier is going anywhere. Just my opinion. The guy that I think has the highest likability to get fired in season is Hugh Freeze. If Auburn is bad, that's also something to be said. Outbound Venables isn't on the hot seat. Yeah, he very much is on the hot seat. They don't win this year. It's happy trails. Because I just don't think that Oklahoma's going to put up with it. They're in a new league. They have a lot of buzz. They need to trend in the right direction. The SEC is keeping up with the Joneses as much as they would not, diehards would want to tell you. It very much is. So, with that being said, we will boogie on to the next topic. But with that being said, hit that like and subscribe button. Trying to get this episode to 25 likes tonight and help us grow this thing and grow this channel. So that is what we're doing. But and then also a little bit of an update throughout this year. We're going to be live streaming all the big games this year, which brings us into the next topic. A lot of these games are going to be on the streaming schedule, so something to look forward to, and that's what we're going to be doing. But here is what the big games are each week. Iowa State, Kansas State, can't argue that. Ohio State, Texas, Michigan, OU, Notre Dame, A&M. I don't know week 4. There's got to be a better matchup week 4 than ASU, Baylor. And then, you just have straight bangers from week 5 throughout the rest of the year. Starting off with Alabama, Georgia, Texas. I think that's going to be an interesting spot for Texas because they got to go to Florida and then they have the Red River Shootout or the rivalry now or whatever you want to call it. And then USC comes to South Bend, A&M, LSU. They've tried to make that like a pseudo rivalry. I don't know, but A&M got to get the trains on the tracks there. Penn State, Ohio State, LSU, Alabama, and then Texas, Georgia. Although I think this Texas-Georgia thing, I think they're going to get some traction on that. And then you have Tennessee, Florida, and then Ohio State, Michigan at the end of the year. So those are a lot of big games. I think Florida plays Florida State that week. We got a lot of big games that week. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. Football is getting ready to start. The Hall of Fame game is coming up. So that is that. We'll get this off of there. And we'll go to our next topic here. Hugh Freeze in the news, giving out gyms again. You need length and girth in this league. I'm just going to leave that comment there and let me know how you feel about that. That is Hugh Freeze being Hugh Freeze. I just don't know why we don't have the wherewithal to saying things like that. I think that's very, 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 very strange for Hugh to say something like that. It's not. I just look at that and I think to myself, man, why would you do that? Outbound says, just in the SEC, in football in general. Well, yeah, it's Hugh with his past transgressions, the Auburn thing. he could have faded off into obscurity, but he dove right back into the SEC. I don't know if this is Hugh's last shot at a big job. To be honest, because it might be ACC Hugh from here on out. I don't know if they can convince anybody to hire him again. But I don't know. It's really tough. I mean, look at Arkansas. They hired Bobby Petrino back, so that's what we're looking at. So, some people on the old TikTok, what do I think of Ollie Gordon? I think Ollie Gordon will be a decent pro. I think he'll be good. I don't think he'll be an absolute bust, but he didn't get drafted high enough for that. Just real quick on the NFL draft, I think that the Raiders didn't do Ashton Genty any favors, because if he doesn't rush for 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns, they're going to call him a bust, regardless of however Pete Carroll decides to use him. Regardless, that's just what it's going to be, and that's what the narrative will be going forward. So they'll just say, well, he was drafted too high, blah, 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 blah. But I don't know. That's just kind of what I'm looking at on that. I don't really read ESPN that much, but I have it pulled up. Sam Acho is worried about Notre Dame's quarterback. Did you watch last year? They didn't really have one. They had a running back, to be honest. I made it all the way to the national championship with a guy that struggled to throw the forward pass, but I digress. But anyway, I guess we can roll through the ESPN topics right now. Deion Sanders says it's a breath of fresh air to be back. Arch Madness, Haslam downplays Arch Manning talk. Oh, Dave's here. What's up, Dave? Well, here's a fun fact that Jimmy Haslam is a huge Tennessee booster, so I'm pretty sure he knows the Manning family. I'm just going to throw that out there. So, do you ever notice he wears orange a lot? So he's a big... let's go here. Oh, yeah, I get it. That's why the practices are relatively closed off to the media, but I digress. Lagway in a boot to open fall camp. That should be interesting to see how that plays off. They're going to say Florida's dead on arrival. Just how that goes. Irish offensive lineman Charles Jagasaw expected to return this season. Well, hopefully he's not riding a ATV again. Oh, here, this ought to be fun. Mascot power ratings. I enjoy this. Keggy the Keg at Dartmouth. It is a keg of beer that is their mascot. The Stanford Tree is number 4. Big Red, whatever that red thing is from Western Kentucky, which is kind of creepy, to be honest. Really big eyes. Let's be real. Western Kentucky's mascot is probably the creepiest one south of the Mason-Dixon. Brutus, number 2. Pretty respectable. Oregon's, I believe the Duck's name is Puddles, is number 1. And then they have Rambling Wreck is the best mascot. They've got Cocky in the Cockaboose. Monty on a Harley in Montana. So Montana Grizzlies mascot rides a motorcycle, apparently. Demon Deacon on a chopper. Wake Forest, their mascot rides a motorcycle. Okay. Buzzin' in the Ramblin' Wreck. Yes. They are number 2. I'm assuming this is going down driving mascots. And then the Sooner Schooner, the covered wagon from Oklahoma is number 1 in driving mascots. And then they have it's literally a bootlegging vehicle. Yeah, I hear you on that. And then we have the human division is what they have. The Hawaii Warriors mascot. Then they have Florida State with Chief Osceola and Renegade. It's a solid mascot. Dave says, I prefer no mascots. Come on, Dave. Gotta like some mascots. What do you think about the Masked Raider, number 3 here in the human division for mascots? The Masked Raider looking straight like Zorro. The Mountaineer, West Virginia. The Mountaineer is it says the Mountaineer, West Virginia. Davy Crockett in Tennessee. Yeah, West Virginia and Tennessee, similar mascots. Both a coonskin hats. And the number 1 in the human division is Notre Dame with the Leprechaun. That is where we're at. And then we go animal division here. This is ESPN's list, not mine. Auburn, pretty cool. Bald eagle, number 5, solid choice. See, Dave's here. Mountaineer isn't bad. War Eagle, Auburn. Clemson Tiger looks like it was made in the 30s or could be found on a Rob Zombie movie. Touche. I like your style. Outbound. Mike the Tiger. That is good. Mike the Tiger, number 4, solid choice. Although I was told a story by a friend that when he was coaching at Alabama, Mike the Tiger pissed on a staffer. That is something. Dave's here. There ain't nothing more American than a bald eagle, man. Come on, get with the program here. Mike the Tiger, number 4, solid choice. Get them Tigers. Bevo, Texas Longhorn, coming in number 3, pretty solid choice. Although Texas was pissed they couldn't bring the bowl to the SEC championship game. Just how it is being in a new conference. Ralphie, although I believe Ralphie is a female. The current one is a female buffalo, so that's where we're at. Ralphie, number 2. And then my dog, Ugga. Ugga is number 1. Ugga, number 1. And then we go down the bonus round here. Non-football division is what we have. Delta State has a fighting orca. Don't know where Delta State's at. And then King Trident, UC San Diego. That is a very Zeus-looking mascot. Sammy the Slug, UC Santa Cruz. Somewhere in California, I would assume. The Gale, St. Mary's College. And then the Providence, the Friar, is number 1 in the non-football division for mascots. The Friar. of Princeton, number 1. I got to go back and read the categories here. I do think Tennessee and West Virginia having solid mascots. I can't believe they didn't have the Boilermaker on there, although the Boilermaker got in a crash over in the springtime. I believe the Purdue train got in a full-on accident. If you Google that, you'll probably be able to find the whole story. But yes, that was a mascot rundown. I am sure everyone is entertained. That is where we're at. Also, the Savannah Bananas have made it to ESPN, which I think that is fascinating in my opinion. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much what we got. It's Zeus is Poseidon. Yeah, well, something whatever with those mythical creatures or folks or beings or whatever. I guess I'm not really in the mascot naming business, but cool. All right, ACC predictions. We will get to this. The media poll for the ACC. They have Clemson 1, no shock. Miami, no shock. SMU, Georgia Tech, Louisville, Duke, Florida State, North Carolina, Pitt, NC State, Virginia Tech, Navy thing. San Diego is a Navy town. Okay, I got you. That makes sense. Virginia Tech, Syracuse, Boston College, Virginia, Cal, Wake Forest, Stanford. Nothing screams to me like Atlantic Coast Conference more than Stanford and Cal. Stanford, I don't disagree. I think they're going to be absolutely god-awful this year. Considering the most, Stanford probably going to be poo-poo. Wake Forest, Cal. I think Cal will be better. I'll be interested to see how the Ohio State transfer Devin Brown does there. Virginia is Virginia, although I think they're going to the SEC. Boston College, very interesting with Billy O. I think Boston College is better than Pitt, just by sheer head coaching ability. Fran Brown and Syracuse, I think, will be better. Virginia Tech, Brent's either got to shit or get off the pot there. They got to turn the corner. Wouldn't be shocked. They haven't been good since Frank Beamer. So, NC State, Dave Dorn. Be interested to see what NC State is this year, to be honest. Be real interested to see what Dave Doran's up to. And then the team that probably the least amount of people care about in the entire city, the University of Pitt at number 9. I hate to say this, but Pitt, you are basically a MAC school. You're in a pro sports town, and you are 3 schools away from leaving this conference to where you're totally irrelevant. If someone disagrees with me on the whole Pitt thing, I would sure like to hear your argument, because they're in a pro sports town. I've been to their home games. You could throw a football from one side of the stadium to the other, and you probably wouldn't hit anybody. But I was at the Clemson game, and there was more Clemson people there than Pitt, to tell you the truth. And Pitt ended up choking on the chicken bone, and Pat Narduzzi spit the bit at the end. So, and then you also have North Carolina right in front of them, which is funny. because Bill Belichick, head coach, North Carolina. Pitt has been good, so they could win again? No, Dave. I was at the Pitt Clemson game, and I was talking to a friend of mine. His kid was on the team, and we overheard several players. I overheard several players. This is a fact that the one daddy had to talk his kid out of quitting because they hated it so bad. I'm just telling you, a lot of the kids don't like Narduzzi. So do with that information what you will. He's also a blowhard that put Matt Canada on blast when he left Pitt to go to LSU. Because why the hell would you want to be the offensive coordinator at Pitt? I'm just saying. But whatever, the Pitt fans have no shame. They're in a pro sports town that no one cares about them. They have 3 pro sports, and they don't have an on-campus stadium, which is a big travesty because their fan turnout and their student turnout would probably be better if they had an on-campus stadium. But no, you got to drive clear the hell across town or take the bus or get on the train that's right next to the field and ride it back. Oh, yeah, I completely agree with you on that. Because it would be rough if I covered Pitt. Because yeah, Pat, you started 7-0 and lost 5 in a row. What is your big way of correcting that? Yeah, my credential would get pulled really quick. Florida State, Castellanos, he's been talking big cap shit about Alabama. But I don't know. The North Carolina thing is going to be fascinating to me because I think the reporters around there, because of how Belichick's going to be week to week with the media, they're just going to fucking eat him alive, in my opinion. And their message boards will be melting down because if they're not good, I think if he wins 7 games, I think 7 games is pretty accurate. 7-5, 7-6, 8 wins if they win a bowl game. But also, it could also be like the Herm Edwards tenure, a complete abject failure, flop. That's how that could have been. But North Carolina to the playoffs, yeah, I'm not buying that. Oh, yeah. Oh, I totally agree with you, Dave, on Florida State. I don't know why they think Gus Malzahn and Thomas Castellanos is going to save the program. But to me, Mike Norvell has no credibility because he turned into a chicken shit and fired a bunch of his assistants and pretty much played the blame game. It was on them. No, Mike, it was on you. You didn't recruit high school and you relied too much on the portal, and it came back and bit you right in the ass. So maybe Norvell will figure it out. Maybe he'll remember how to coach football. That's just my opinion. Manny Diaz and Duke at number 6. I think Duke will be pretty decent. I don't know if they'll. I think Duke should be better than in a normal world. Duke should not be ranked ahead of Florida State in football. Just saying. But what do I know? Duke will be, I think, fairly decent. I think they'll be 8-9 wins. Louisville, Mike Braun. With Miller Moss this year, I think Louisville is going to be better than what people think. I would have Louisville ranked higher on this list, in my opinion, because I think they might be better than Georgia Tech. Might be. But the Ramblin' Wreck right here at number 4. Ramblin' Wreck. Appreciate you folks on TikTok as well, but Ramblin' Wreck. If it was up to me, I think I would flip-flop Louisville and Georgia Tech, but that's just something to be said. Dave's here. Bama is going to kill FSU, and the season will be in the shitter after game 1 because that QB talks too much. Well, I hate to be that guy, but Castellanos quit on BC last year after he got fucking benched. Remember when he had to take time away from the team because he couldn't handle Billy O benching him? Just saying that happened. So he lost his job and went postal and hit the portal and GTFO'd because Billy O was too much for him. Do I think Gus Malzahn and Norvell are going to be able to get that figured out? Does Castellanos start the Florida game at the end of the year? That is something to be said. Joe's here. A little late, Joe. I know you're probably watching the Hall of Fame game and seeing that we were live, but that is what we got rolling. I'd put Pitt at 5 or 6. What, Joe? What the hell are you talking about? There is absolutely no way. No way. Okay, Joe, how many games does Pitt win this year? We'll look at the schedule real quick because I got time today. Wow. That is, Joe, you're killing me on this one, man. That is definitely the most trust me, bro thing ever. Because we're gonna go down Pitt's schedule and we're gonna die. I'd say 9. You guys are cracking me up today. Dave's here is definitely on the Thomas Castellanos. I'm not gonna say Thomas Castellanos isn't good. I just don't think that he has the wherewithal to beat Alabama. Because if Alabama goes into Tallahassee and spanks that ass, that's going to be a major problem. That is a major problem for Norvell. But he's got like a $60 million buyout, so I don't know what you do if you're Florida State if you have a lame duck. So, Pitt. Old Pitt starts off with Duquesne. Killers. Central Michigan. Now we're cooking with peanut oil. They got to go to West Virginia. I think the Mountaineers will be better this year. Pitt's schedule is not favorable. On the road at West Virginia, they have Louisville coming home. I think Pitt could be a trap game for Notre Dame. I don't disagree with you on that, Joe. I don't disagree with you on that. After I finish the ACC here, we will roll the Notre Dame schedule because I have some interesting thoughts on that. And then he's got Boston. Narduzzi has Boston College on the road to Tallahassee and then on the road to Syracuse. So they're going to basically one of the most southern points of the state or the United States to a northern point, New York and Florida in 7 days. Sounds like a lot of fun. Then he has NC State. Don't know how bad Dave Doran is going to be. I think they might have some quarterback issues. Dave's here. Pitt, West Virginia should happen every year. PSU I totally agree with you. What Penn State's non-con should be Pitt and West Virginia. But no, James Franklin wants to bitch about Notre Dame not being in a conference. You have those your rivals that you don't play every year. I'm just saying. You want to complain about Notre Dame not being in a conference? We can look at Penn State's schedule. Look at their non-cons. And then NC State, they got to go to Stanford. Then they have Notre Dame coming to town November 15th. Then they got to go on the road to Georgia Tech, and they close it with Miami. If I'm just a gambler, Narduzzi's probably going to lose the last 3 games of the year, and he's probably going to lose to Syracuse, and BC's a coin flip, maybe Louisville. I think that Narduzzi could be staring 6-6 right in the face. But I don't think the Pitt people care too awful much. Just my humble abode opinion. I don't think the Pitt people care that much. Because if they did, Narduzzi would have been gone a long time ago. Let's just look at the vaunted Penn State schedule. I mean, when you're looking at Penn State's schedule here, got the Nevada Wolfpack. Gonna have to contain the Nevada Wolfpack. Florida International. I mean, all at home, by the way. I mean, lucky they're at home. And then they have Villanova coming to town. Man, Villanova? Come on, James. I don't know why you don't have Pitt and West Virginia on that schedule, but and you can keep Villanova. But, I mean, they do have Oregon, Ohio State this year, and Indiana. But we'll see. That's the conference they're in. But I mean, outside of Rutgers, Northwestern, straight killers there. And then we will go to the Notre Dame schedule real quick while we have time. And we'll get everybody out of here soon, and so you can enjoy your football evening. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Notre Dame's schedule, they start at Miami. Not on board with this argument. Penn State has a harder schedule than Maryland. I'll agree. I'll agree with you on that, but it's very, very. All the teams you said were shit. Can't disagree with you there, Dave. Notre Dame's on the road at Miami. If you're talking about the Pitt schedule, then yeah. They're on the road at Miami, Texas A&M, Purdue. Got to go to Fayetteville at noon, and it's going to be fucking hot, from what I'm told. It's going to be real hot down in Fayetteville. And it's a high nooner. Yeah, that's not fun. They got Boise, NC State, USC, but a lot of people are going to give me hell on this. I don't like at Boston College in November. Don't like that game. Don't like it. Then they play Navy at home. They got to go to Pitt. Syracuse comes to town and on the road at Stanford. Out of all the games on the schedule that I dislike the most for Notre Dame is going to Boston College. I just don't like it. I'm not a fan. And then we'll go with the Mario Cristobal thing. Here's my deal. I'm not going to fucking pile on Mario Cristobal. He's won some games, but like some of the things that Mario has done have been just bizarre. The Georgia Tech game and just whatever. So Miami opens with Notre Dame. I think that's a coin flip because you don't know which Carson Beck is going to show up. If Carson Beck of 2024 shows up, Miami's screwed. 2023 Beck shows up, might have a chance. Then Bethune-Cookman. That's why that's on ESPN Plus. Let that sink in. ESPN Plus, people. Miami. You got to go to an external app to watch the Miami game. Well, I guess it does say that might be also ACC Network. Maybe. I don't know. I can't read it. But, hey, tickets as low as $9, ESPN says. $9 tickets to go see Bethune-Cookman get fucked up by Miami. South Florida on the CW, Alex Grinch. Maybe He is the Tom Herman slayer. He's the guy that single-handedly got Tom Herman fired. So the Notre Dame game isn't a legit tough game, but after Bethune-Cookman, South Florida, they got Florida coming to town. They got to go on the road to Tallahassee. Then that's very interesting. They got Florida State and Florida back-to-back weeks. It's kind of a shit stretch for Mario there. Then you got to face Jeff Brom and Miller Moss and the Louisville Cardinals. That's already been set for 7 p.m. So that's good Friday night ESPN primetime, baby. Hopefully Louisville doesn't choke it off like Virginia Tech did last year and get screwed on a shit call. And then they have Miami plays SMU this year, Syracuse, Fran Brown, Steve Angeli, Fran Brown and Kyle McCord playing spoiler like last year. And then you have NC State. And then they got 2 back-to-back road games. They've got Virginia Tech, and then they have to go on the road to Pitt at the end of the year, which if I'm Miami, I don't like that because you know why? It's going to be cold as hell. Well, I guess hell can't be cold. It's going to be cold as shit. So there's that. I got 4 minutes here. We can blow through Clemson's schedule really fast. I think that here we go. Clemson has the Bayou Bengals, which I think they're going to fuck Brian Kelly and LSU up. And the big one is they play on Friday night. They play Louisville. Louisville's got 2 primetime Friday night games. Look at Louisville go. Jeff Brom, Miller Moss. Syracuse, Virginia, or Georgia Tech. Yeah, I don't see anything that severely sticks out except Syracuse and Fran Brown because I think that they have the ultimate puncher's chance to win some games. So I'll be interested to see that LSU Clemson game because I think Dabo's got a lot to prove. Old Brian Kelly got a lot to prove too. So there's a lot riding on that week 1 matchup, and I think it'll be the tale of 2 seasons. Although Clemson went last year and played Georgia week 1 and got totally shit stomped. So that is one thing to be said. But Clemson bounced back. They had another loss to Louisville. Who all did beat Clemson last year? They lost to Georgia by 31. Georgia by 31. They lost to South Carolina in Louisville with their 3 losses last year. And then they lost to Texas in the playoff. So, but they did win the ACC, so that is something to be said. But that's where we're at on pretty much the ACC preview. Threw a little something together for tonight. That is pretty much where we're at. But our big thing is on the channel trying to get to 25 likes per episode to get us kicked up in the old algorithm going into the season. Like I said, we're going to have all kinds of content going forward. The other 2 fellas are out, but they'll be back when the season starts. And then also we're going to be live streaming games, only the biggest games. And we're trying to take this platform to the next level. And we can't do that without you guys. Like Joe says here, hit the like, everybody. Appreciate everybody taking the time out to check out this channel. Yeah, we got 13 people watching. The likes will come. The likes will come, Joe, and appreciate everybody that's on the ground floor with us. We are trying to move this thing progressively forward, but we will have the big games. We'll have all kinds of streaming content going forward. So that is something to be said there. But I guess with that being said, everybody, we'll get you out of here and go check out the Hall of Fame games, and everybody have a good night.